May 15th, 1855, 8:30 p.m, London Bridge Station. 3 heavy wooden boxes are being loaded into iron safes aboard a night mail train to Folkestone. Inside them, £224 of pure gold, worth £12,000. That's roughly £6.7 million in today's money. The safes themselves are manufactured by Chubb & Son, the finest lockmakers in England. 1-inch thick steel walls, 2 separate locks on each safe. Keys split between railway officials. No single person can open them alone. It's the most secure way to transport gold in 1855. What could possibly go wrong? The train departs on schedule. In the guard's van, those 3 sealed boxes sit locked inside the impenetrable Chubb safes. But hidden in the shadows of that very same van, covered by overalls in the collar, someone is waiting. Someone who should not be there. 35 minutes later, at Red Hill Station, a well-dressed man steps out carrying a heavy carpet bag and disappears into the night. Inside that bag is a fortune in gold, and the theft has only just begun. The boxes will continue to Folkestone, across the English Channel to Boulogne, and finally to Paris. They'll be weighed at every stop. Everything will appear completely normal until the safes are opened at the Bank of France. The gold is gone. In its place, lead shot. This is the story of the Great Gold Robbery of 1855. One of the most audacious, meticulously planned heists in history. A Victorian Ocean's 11 pulled off not with explosives or violence, but with patience, precision, and duplicate keys. And it all unraveled because of a broken promise and a woman scorned. William Pierce, 37 years old, large-faced, clumsy, with a taste for loud waistcoats and flashy trousers. Pierce used to work for the South Eastern Railway, but got himself fired for gambling and drinking. Now he spends his days in pubs near London Bridge Station, the same places where railway employees drink. And Pierce has a talent. He's a good listener. He learns about the gold shipments to Paris. He watches the security procedures, and most importantly, he sees how it could be beaten. He just needs a partner with the right skills. Edward Agar, age 39, a professional thief since he was 18, but he's not some street thug. Agar is what they call a screwsman, a master lockpicker and a safe cracker. He's also wealthy, living in a fashionable house in Shepherd's Bush. He's one of London's most skilled burglars, and nobody suspects a thing. Pierce has been pitching this job for months. At first, Agar dismisses it. The safes are too secure. It would be impossible, Agar tells Pierce, unless an impression of the keys could be procured. Pierce smiles. He thinks he knows how that could be arranged, but they need inside help. Pierce recruits William Tester, a well-educated railway clerk at London Bridge Station who has access to shipping manifests and guard rosters. He knows when gold shipments happen and which guards are on duty. And they need James Burgess, a married, respectable guard who's worked for the railway since 1843, 12 years of loyal service. Nobody would suspect him, but his wages have been cut. He feels undervalued, and when Pierce offers him a share of £12,000, Burgess listens. There's one more person in this story, Fanny Kay, age 23. She's Edward Agar's partner, living with him at his house. She's the mother of his child. She has no idea what Agar is planning. She has no idea that her name will eventually become the key that unlocks this entire case. May 1854, 1 year before the robbery, Pierce and Agar travel to Folkestone to scout the location. They are not subtle. They spend so much time watching the railway offices that both the railway police and local police start noticing them. Pierce returns to London. Agar stays behind, drinking at pubs where railway staff gather, piecing together the security system. He learns that one safe key is carried by the Folkestone superintendent. The other is locked in a cabinet in the railway office. Then in July 1854, they catch a break. Captain Mould of the steamship company loses one of the keys. The railway sends all 3 safes back to Chubb for new locks and new keys. And guess who handles the correspondence? William Tester. When the new keys arrive in October, Tester briefly borrows them and meets Pierce and Agar in a beer house near London Bridge. Agar presses the keys into green wax, creating perfect impressions. But there's a problem. Tester brought two identical keys by mistake. They still need the second key. Agar has an idea. Using a false name, he sends £200 of his own gold through the system to Folkestone. When Mr. Archer arrives to collect it, he watches the superintendent retrieve the safe key from the cupboard. Now he knows exactly where it's kept. Agar and Pierce wait until the ferry from Bullion arrives and the office staff step out. Pierce slips inside, grabs the key, brings it to Agar, who presses it into wax. Over the next 6 months, Agar creates functional keys from the impressions. Between April and May 1855, he makes 7 test trips on the Folkestone line. Each time, Burgess is the guard, as arranged by Tesla. Agar hides in the guard's van and practices with the keys. Open, close, until they work perfectly. They also purchase £220 of lead shot from the shot tower in Lambeth. They get courier bags and carpet bags. They are ready. Tester sets up a simple signal. If a gold shipment is scheduled, Burgess will walk out of London Bridge Station and wipe his face with a white handkerchief. On May 15th, 1855, Burgess walks out and wipes his face. It's time. 8:15 PM. Edward Agar sees the signal. He finds Pierce. They purchase first-class tickets to Folkestone. Their bags contain lead shot, tools, scales, and handmade wax seal stamps. They hand their bags to Burgess for storage in the guard's van. At 8:30 PM, the train departs. Pierce takes his seat in first class. Agar slips into the guard's van and hides under spare overalls. The moment the train clears the station, Agar gets to work. He discovers the guards only lock one lock instead of 2. Perfect. He only needs one key. He opens the first safe. Inside are 3 wooden boxes. He doesn't try to break the front seals. Instead, he uses pincers to extract the rivets from the iron bands at the back, then uses wedges to pry open the rear of the box. Gold bars. He weighs each one precisely, then replaces it with the exact same weight of lead shot. When the box is emptied and refilled, he nails the bands back on and uses his handmade die to create new wax seals on the front. 35 minutes. The train approaches Redhill. Agar hides. Burgess hands a carpet bag, now full of gold, to William Tester waiting on the platform. Tester immediately returns to London. After Redhill, Pierce joins them in the guard's van. They work faster now. The second box contains American gold eagle coins. The third contains more gold bars, but they ran out of lead shot. They take what they can and leave some gold behind to keep the weight close. They clean up the mess, strap the gold under their coats, and hide while the safes are removed at Folkestone. When it's clear, they walk through to first class like ordinary passengers and continue to Dover. They collect their heavy bags, head to a hotel for supper, and Agar throws the keys and tools into the harbour. At 2 AM, they board the return train to London. They have just pulled off one of the most sophisticated robberies in history, and no one has any idea. When the safes arrive in Bullion, someone notices the boxes look damaged, but since Folkestone staff didn't mention it, he assumes it was like that from the start. The boxes are weighed again. One is 40 pounds light, 2 are slightly heavy. Strange, but not alarming. They arrive in Paris. At the Bank of France, the final weigh-in shows the same discrepancies. Someone decides to open them. Lead shot. The boxes are full of lead shot. Panic. The French insist the theft happened in England. The British insist it's impossible. The safes were locked the entire time. Newspapers scream Great Gold Robbery. Scotland Yard launches an investigation. The South Eastern Railway offers a £300 reward. Detectives interview dozens of staff. Burgess is questioned but cleared. Impeccable record. Tester has a solid alibi. He was in London during the robbery. The investigation drags on for months. No leads and no suspects. Meanwhile, Pierce and Agar are melting down gold bars at Cambridge Villa. At one point, a crucible cracks, spilling molten gold and starting a small fire. They manage to put it out, but the floorboards are charred, gold specks everywhere. They sell £2,500 worth of gold to a fence and split the proceeds 4 ways. Burgess invests in bonds. Pierce opens a betting shop. Tester buys Spanish bonds and quits his railway job to become general manager of a Swedish railway company. For 18 months, they got away with it. Around this time, Agar meets a 19-year-old woman named Emily Campbell. They begin a relationship, but Emily has a pimp named William Humphreys who's unhappy about losing income. To smooth things over, Agar lends Humphreys £235. When Agar goes to collect the repayment, he's arrested. The police claim the money is from a check fraud scheme. Agar insists he's innocent, but in September 1855, he's convicted and sentenced to penal transportation for life. Agar has £3,000 in his bank account. He arranges with his solicitor to give it to Pierce, with clear instructions: support Fanny Kay and their child. Pierce agrees, then he keeps the money for himself. All of it. Months pass. Agar in Pentonville prison awaiting transportation to Australia hears nothing from Fanny. He writes to Pierce, no response. Finally, word reaches him. Pierce has betrayed him. Agar is furious. Fanny Kay is desperate. She has a child to feed. No money, no support. She's destitute. She goes to see John Weatherhead, the governor of Newgate Prison, and she tells him everything. She names all 4 men. She tells him about Cambridge Villa, the melted gold, the burned floorboards. Detectives search Cambridge Villa. They find it all: burned floorboards, gold dust in the cracks, traces of crucibles, evidence of extreme heat. In October 1856, the railway's solicitor interviews Agar in prison. By now, Agar has confirmed Pierce's betrayal. His fury is absolute. Pierce left Fanny and the child to suffer. The code has been broken. Agar turns Queen's evidence. He confesses to everything. On November 5th, 1856, Pierce and Burgess are arrested. Tester is in Sweden but voluntarily returns to England on December 10th and gives himself up. The trial begins January 13th, 1857 at the Old Bailey. It lasts 3 days and receives massive newspaper coverage. All 3 men pled not guilty. Agar testifies. The prosecution makes sure the jury understands he's a professional criminal who hasn't worked honestly since he was 18, but his testimony is backed by overwhelming evidence. Locksmiths, bullion dealers, railway staff, pub owners all confirm the 4 men knew each other and were seen together at crucial times. The jury deliberates for 10 minutes. Guilty. All 3. Judge Sir Samuel Martin delivers a remarkable statement about Agar. The man Agar is a man who is as bad can be, but that he is a man of most extraordinary ability no person can deny. It is obvious that he is a man of extraordinary talent. They gave to this robbery an amount of care and perseverance 1/10 of which devoted to honest pursuits must have raised them to a respectable station in life. The sentences are harsh. Burgess and Testa 14 years penal transportation to Australia. Pierce gets a lighter sentence, 2 years hard labour in England, since he wasn't a railway employee. August 26, 1858, the convict ship Edwin Fox departs for Western Australia. Aboard, Burgess and Tester. Burgess receives his ticket of leave in December 1859, a conditional pardon in March 1862. He remains in Australia. What he did with the rest of his life, history doesn't say. Tester gets his pardon in October 1861. In 1863, he leaves Australia. His trail vanishes. Agar was transported separately in September 1857. He received his pardon in September 1867 and travelled to Ceylon in 1869. After that, the record goes silent. Edward Agar, genius criminal, simply disappears from history. Pierce served his 2 years and he was released in 1859. What became of him is unknown. As for Fanny Kay, history has forgotten her. We don't know if she ever received support. We don't know if she blamed herself. All we know is that desperation drove her to speak, and her words destroyed 4 men. Most of the stolen gold was never recovered.